Fahad with the Times. Welcome to this latest edition of Silicon Grapevine. My guest today is Rajesh Vashist, who's the chairman and CEO of SiTime. Rajesh, hello, how are you?
Hi, how are you, Nitin?
I'm fine.
Very good to meet you.
Well, thank you for welcoming me into your office. Looking forward to our chat to see what's behind Rajesh Vashist. I think when I do my little digital profile search, maybe maybe there's not enough that we know about you. But anyway, tell us a little bit about what you're doing around SiTime. You've been doing this since 2007.
That's right.
Just give us a little idea of SiTime and where you are and what excites you with SiTime.
Well, thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. SiTime is a timing company, SiTime, silicon timing,
Yep.
right? We make the point about silicon timing, SiTime, because we are replacing, call it 100 years old technology called, we're quite familiar with it really, called quartz crystal. And so quartz crystal has done a fabulous job so far, but it is 70 years old. And we know that semiconductor-based timing is much more accurate, resilient, smaller, lower power. In fact, all of the goodness that we want right now in any aspect of our lives and electronics. Timing in particular is not that well understood, but timing is the metronome, call it the heartbeat, in any system where you may have a CPU, a GPU, wireless, communications of any kind. They all need to know when to be on and when to be off. And it's that heartbeat that's generated by SiTime. We call it a square wave. And it's exactly what it looks like. It looks like a square wave that then tells the fidelity of that signal, tells the chips when to fire and when to not.
I mean, it's many years since I did engineering, but I remember doing the clock diagrams and the synchronization, the handshakes and all that. So I understand that, but I think it's quite useful to just remind people.
Yeah. And one of the unique things about SiTime is that we're dedicated to timing and timing alone.
Yeah.
So that makes us very unique. There isn't a company that's decided to go after exclusively this $10, $11 billion market. 10 years from now, it's probably going to be a $20 billion market. And the second thing we do exclusively, uniquely, is that we're dedicated to every aspect of timing. We started our life in one area, we moved to two other areas, and in future, we'll probably move to other parts of timing as well. Software, beyond software, modules, all of that is fair game.
Now, I've spoken to your colleagues in the past, and they've talked about the innovation culture. We may come to that a little bit when we talk about some of the things, learnings. But let's go back a little bit. You studied engineering in India, but tell us a little bit about whether there was a motivation to study engineering or how did that happen?
Well, if you talk to Indians of a certain age, of that time, growing up in the 70s in India, there really were not that many choices. So engineering was one of those choices which opened a path to many other things. And I'll let you into not such a big secret, but it's sort of a thing. I never really wanted to be an engineer because I was more interested in the business side of things.
Okay.
But I got some great advice from my father who said, you know, if you're an engineer and an MBA, then you kind of have the best of both worlds. And given that this was 1975 in India, I think that's pretty forward of him to have thought of that and to have told me that. Luckily, I had the brains to listen to him. So I did my engineering in India, as you said. It used to be a 5-year course, very, very rigorous, very hard thinking kind of course, physics, math, chemistry, the whole thing. And then I came to the US in 81 to do my MBA just to follow that path.
Yeah.
And I landed up at Marquette University where I was, fortunate enough to get a full ride as a teaching assistant, research assistant. And then I moved here to the US in 84, to the Bay Area.
They've given you an honorary award as well, which I saw.
They've given me some honors, so that's very nice of them.
And so then tell us a little about your journey from there to Silicon Valley.
Yeah, so, it was it was 1983, 84. It was tough to find a job in the Midwest. But there was a boom here even then.
Yeah.
I understand that you started your first career in '84 in England.
We were sort of on the boom and then coming down on the cycle. So yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So I came here kind of late in the cycle, but early enough to get a position at a company which I didn't know was Samsung, but in fact was Samsung. And oddly enough, just about, a few hundred yards away from here on Great America Parkway. And my first product, the first product as a product manager that I got, was something which is almost hard to believe now, was a 64K DRAM.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. And DRAMs were everywhere, and DRAMs were in a boom market, as they are in a cyclical market.
Yeah.
And the price was, in 1984 dollars, was, I think, $11.
Yeah.
And a year later, it was 85 cents.
Yeah. Well, I think when I started, like, soon afterwards, it was like 32-bit processors were coming in. So
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And I recall sitting and discussing with my friends that really 1 megabit DRAM was plenty, and a 32-bit processor was plenty, and 256 megabyte of storage was plenty. Because we didn't foresee the need for more of everything in electronics.
So like, what's the transition from there to the next phase? Because I think you did what your father said, which is got your engineering, your MBA, and then what happened after the Samsung?
Well, I started in marketing, which I really wanted to do, and then I moved to my first startup. So I had startup experience really early, and even though that startup was successful eventually, as they struggled, I learned what a tough time one can have in a startup. And then I had a very fortunate experience in moving to a very established company called Adaptec, which was kind of a darling in the 90s.
The storage business, yes.
That's the storage business. And I saw what happens when a company gets even not that cutting edge technology, because if you remember, there was this SCSI technology, SCSI.
I remember that,
Yeah, and so SCSI technology, as it was called, unfortunately. But fortunately for Adaptec, as the leaders in that, we rode that from, call it 100 million market cap to a $5 billion market cap in 7 years. I saw the value of culture. I saw the value of leadership. So it's a funny thing that in semiconductors, in Silicon Valley, at the end of the day, in spite of the technology, in spite of the innovation, it really is about the people. It is about leadership. It is about courage. It's about commitment. It's about transparency. It's about risk-taking. So it really comes down to the people, doesn't it?
Comes to people. And I think what I hear quite a lot when I speak to people here, and I've been coming here since the 90s, is just how even if you make a lot of money through an exit, you're still focused on how to innovate and how to lead the next team.
That's right. I mean, once you get the bug for success, or even for failure, but once you get the bug for creating something where nothing exists, when you're the leader in something, as my previous CEO used to say, if you're not the lead dog in a sled, the view never changes.
Yeah, that's actually a good phrase. But okay, so Adaptec, I think you're part of a business which you grew a particular business in that. What happened next?
Well, that was 98, and I looked around and I thought, hardware is done.
Yeah,
it was common because there's something called the World Wide Web. There was B2C, B2B, and so I had a very brief stint in one of those internet companies, and I kind of understood that I didn't understand it, and I didn't understand why everybody else valued it as highly, which if I look back, I can maybe credit myself with some insights that this wasn't going to last. So I went to something that I knew, which was semiconductors, back. And I did my first startup, 1999, as CEO with Behrooz Rizvani, who was the CTO and founder of that company. We got invested by Sequoia, Greylock, the classic story, the best of the best. Big boom. We were going to be acquired for hundreds of millions of dollars.
This was in 2000.
In 2000, we were we were going to be acquired for hundreds of millions for a company with 2 years away from product. And then, of course,
You had the crash.
We had the
2000.
crash.
Yeah. That was Ikanos.
That was Ikanos Communications.
And so then what was involved in turnaround? Because you still managed to succeed to a certain
Well,
extent.
what we were advised by everybody, including our VCs, was that there was no harm in just shutting it down. Our market had disintegrated. The company wasn't going to go anywhere. And we had about 75 employees. But I was somewhat old-fashioned in the sense that I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I did not like the sense of declaring to everybody that we're done, we're over, please go home.
Yeah.
Tell the investors your $17 million of investment is worth nothing. It didn't work for me. I don't know why, but it didn't work for me. So
it was a gut feeling.
It was a gut feeling.
Yeah.
So I wanted to reformat. We did reformat the company. We changed the strategy, changed some of the products, changed some of the team. And then we went on to dominate and create the high-speed VDSL market, which was a fiber to the building, fiber to the curb market. And we became 95% market share leaders, ended up going public in 2005, competed successfully against companies like TI, Broadcom, ST Micro, Infineon. And that was a pretty good success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so you came here in, I think, then what happened next? Because you had like a year's gap or something, or you decided.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to take a little bit of a break. One of the things that did not work for me in Ikanos towards the latter part was backing up a little bit, any startup typically tries to go for a new market with new technology. To me, that is not as superior as going for an existing market with new technology. Because one of the things, as you know, is we cannot forecast, we cannot change, we cannot impact whether a new market grows or doesn't grow, or does grow at the same level that we want or grows at a lower level. So Ikanos, unfortunately, good news was we were 95% of the market. Bad news was we were the market and wasn't going to grow very much.
Okay. Yeah.
So we never made it past 600 million in market value in spite of all the work we did. So the lesson I took away from it was, let's go after an existing market, a big existing market, so we don't have market risk. Because as an entrepreneur, you cannot manage market risk, existence of market risk. You can manage employee risk, you can manage technology risk, you can manage investor risk, but that's one thing that's not in your control.
Yeah, and so how did you end up here?
Well, one of the investors, Greylock, had an investment in SiTime. SiTime was a 30-person company, was struggling a bit. They'd had a previous CEO. They were going after a market, which, like every other market that I've been in, I didn't know much about, except for two things. One was that the market was already 5 billion. It was being serviced by quartz crystal.
Yes.
We talked about that. And it was going to grow at 5% a year like it had for decades, and was going to get to 10 billion and then 20 billion. And so we had the existing market requirement. And the second thing was the company was focused with semiconductor-based technology to replace non-semiconductor quartz crystal. And we weren't the only ones with the idea. There were 3 large companies, IDT, Silicon Labs, Maxim, and there were 5 startups in addition to us. So we were all chasing after that. But luckily, we were able to outwork them, out-execute them.
Is that because of the focus?
Well, certainly that's true with the large companies comparison, but the startups had the same focus.
Yeah.
But I guess we made some right choices.
Yeah.
We made some right strategic decisions. And by 2012, we had no competition anymore because we had pretty much become the preeminent company in that small sector of the market.
Right. Well, I think you've made a good go of it. You've been going for a while. So I think one of the things I always find fascinating is how somebody keeps going and also what motivates them. What motivates you? What sort of keeps you going? There's a lot of, I think, cultural things you've picked up along the way, I guess.
Yeah, first of all, I think the team is really important to me. And I would never want to let down the team. And so the needs of the team keep on driving me. but not in a blind way, of course. At the end of the day, there has to be success visible to me at the end of it. And for me, the fact that the market was there and existing, and we were having success in displacing it, just not fast enough. So all I had to do was to make it faster. And what we did was we produced some significantly innovative solutions in 2013. And that was the result of our hockey stick of growth. And we've been keeping at it since then.
Well, I mean, one of the things I talked about earlier was about innovation. How do you inspire an innovation culture? I guess it's not difficult in Silicon Valley, but it's still difficult within teams.
Yeah, it's somewhat more difficult to sustain it. I think you can get a lot of people excited with a goal, but if we're not fair, if you're not transparent, if we are not honest, if we don't have integrity, if we don't take clarity, if we don't have accountability, the usual stuff, no rocket science here, I think people lose faith and people lose momentum behind it. So for me, the point is very clear. You can demand good work, but you cannot demand excellence. You have to inspire excellence. And you can't really inspire excellence with a rah-rah speech. You can only inspire excellence by creating an environment where people go, you know what? This is a place where if I contribute, I can have impact. My learning in life, one of the small learnings in life, big for me, is that everybody wants to have an impact. I don't care if you're a janitor, I don't care if you're chairman, I don't care whoever you are, everybody wants to make an impact. So can we, at SiTime, create an environment where everybody can have the maximum impact of their position, their desires, their ambition, their creativity? That's kind of all. That's all we want to do.
I mean, a lot of people talk about mentors and inspiration. What are the things that have inspired you throughout your career?
Well, as I said,
throughout your life as well.
Right. Yeah. So as I said, in the startup, I got a very valuable lesson, which was what not to do.
Okay.
Right. Because it was a very good company with a very good CEO, very innovative, PhD from Stanford, but he just wasn't as clear as he needed to be. In the next company, Adaptec, the CEO was from Hungary, and he was a very experienced man, so he was so influential in showing us the clarity of thought, transparency, risk-taking, and then rewarding the right people. He's the guy who said the view never changes if you're not the leader.
Exactly. Yeah.
He also said some other things. He was a sailor. So he said once, when should you make a change? When you first think about it. So it was very simple thinking. It was very impactful to me.
Wow. Okay, that's pretty good. Talk about work and all work, no play. What are your hobbies? What do you like to do? Or do you not get time to do anything?
Well, my life has been one of dropping off hobbies as I go.
Yeah.
Because one amazing thing about success, which is that the more you do, the more you can see at SiTime, for example. I can see the opportunity to establish SiTime at an even greater level. We could argue that we're reasonably well established. We're at 300 million or less in revenue this year. We're about 7 billion in market cap. That's not bad. We're the leader in timing. That's not bad. But, the opportunity with AI, the opportunity with robotics, the opportunity with ADAS, the opportunity with healthcare, and timing to have impact in all of these. In my 42 years of working in Silicon Valley, I've never seen an opportunity as great as this.
Yeah.
And so I'm motivated, I'm passionate about creating that, taking that opportunity, which is not yet realized, and make it come true for all of us. And of course, I think we deliver a lot of success. We're about 500 people. When I came here, we were less than 30, as I said, and we have touched the lives of many, many, many millions of people.
So I'm surprised. I mean, a lot of Indian-raised CEOs will tell me Bollywood and cricket.
Actually, I am not particularly good at cricket, Perhaps because when I was very young at cricket, in the playground, I would just do the fun part, the batting, and then wouldn't do much of the fielding.
You're studying around.
and because it's boring. And so I was kicked off the playing field by my older brother, who said, "This guy doesn't want to do the boring stuff."
Yeah, I think when you travel around doing these interviews, I mean, you discover the passions. Like when I was in Brazil, it was all about soccer.
That's right.
So it's
That's right. For me, I think spending time with my family, both here and in India, and then I think fitness and healthcare for myself as well as for my employees. I think we are big on that. We have a gym over here. We have a trainer. We have yoga. And we try to do this in all the places that we can. So I think that's really important because I think we have an opportunity to get everybody to live longer, healthier because of many of the innovations you see.
Now, I mean, my final question, I guess, is what are the things that you've learned that you would pass on to like young Rajesh or just younger people in general that you've learned, whether it's life or career?
Yeah, I think it's really centers around courage and risk-taking. The people I see who have moved further, I mean, the first time I got to start Economist Communications, I was 39 years old. But theoretically, I could have done that with the same knowledge at 29. And I'd be in some ways a little bit further along. So I think assuring yourself that risk-taking works, risk-taking is okay. Courage, have the courage to do what you think you want to do. I think that's really important. But, we'll take what we can.
Well, Rajesh, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nitin. It's been a great opportunity for me.